Kia ora. The really good news we received this week is that we can now come together in gatherings, including religious gatherings, for up to 100 people. So that means that our parishes will certainly be able to resume weekday masses, and many parishes will also resume Sunday masses this weekend. Some parishes with particularly small church buildings or with particularly large numbers of parishioners have decided to hold off starting Sunday masses until we move to level 1. They don't want people to turn up for Sunday mass and then find that there are already 100 people inside and then be told that there's no room for them at the inn. We may have to be a little bit patient and tolerant at this particular time, but at least we know we're heading in the right direction. And if you can't get to a Sunday mass, a number of parishes are putting on additional weekday masses, so that might be a more attractive option for you. As we begin to move out of this lockdown phase, our diocese is going to follow the lead of Pope Francis, and we're going to stop broadcasting or hosting on our website weekday masses as of this weekend. But we will continue to host Sunday masses on our website, and they'll be available also on Shine TV at 2 o'clock every Sunday afternoon. That's Freeview Channel 25 or Sky Channel 201. We've had reports from all around the country from people who are not able to get to Mass saying how much they appreciate the Shine TV masses. And I have to say we're really grateful to Shine TV for their hospitality and generosity to us during this coronavirus time. I'd like also to thank the priests and parishioners who have bent over backwards during the past 2 months to stream masses for parishioners. I know that that's taken a huge effort, especially during the level 4 time when everyone was trying to work within the restrictions of their own bubbles. But many, many people have expressed appreciation for those efforts, so I do thank you. So much for COVID-19. Over this weekend, we celebrate the great feast of Pentecost, sometimes called the birthday of the Church. On the day of Pentecost, you'll know the story, the apostles are somehow transformed. They're no longer fearful and confused, but now they're fearless and confident witnesses to the resurrection of Jesus. You get the sense they have the feeling that they're not on their own, that someone is working in them and through them and with them. And the Gospels hint that Jesus himself had that same experience. We're told that after his baptism by John the Baptist, Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. Then after his 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness, we're told that with the power of the Spirit in him, he returned to Galilee. And then you'll remember when he goes to his hometown of Nazareth, to the synagogue there, he quotes from the prophet Isaiah, "The Spirit of the Lord has been given to me. The Spirit of the Lord has anointed me and sent me to proclaim good news." On Pentecost Sunday, we're reminded that that gift of the Spirit is also entrusted to us. That same Spirit works in us and through us. Although I suspect that many of us actually struggle to think that God would work through little old me. How could that be possible? I remember a few years ago going to the vigil prayers for a lovely old priest whom I was particularly fond of. I used to go to him for confession. And he had a simple goodness that I found very attractive. At the vigil prayers, people were invited to come forward and just to share their memory of this priest. And I was quite moved by the variety of people who came forward from all walks of life and from all ages. But as each of them spoke, and they spoke nice and briefly, as each of them spoke, it was like a mosaic falling into place. And the image that emerged was of a very good and kindly man, my priest friend, who was kind to others and who listened to them and encouraged them. And just in those little gestures of listening and encouraging, people would say that their lives were changed in very significant ways. Now, I know that my friend, my priest friend, would have been amazed to think that his little gestures, words of encouragement, time spent listening to people, would have had such lasting effects. He always saw himself as very ordinary. But that's precisely how the Holy Spirit works, through our very ordinariness. And we usually occasionally glimpse his presence when we look backwards, when we look back over the past day, the past week, maybe even the past year, and think, good heavens, that was a graced moment. Well, why was I at that particular moment, at that particular, with that particular person? And why did I say that particular thing, which seems to have been just the right thing to say? Occasionally, by looking backwards, we can glimpse where the Holy Spirit has worked in us and through us. Saint Ignatius Loyola told his companions in the Society of Jesus that this practice of looking backwards on our own lives to see where God had been present was so important that he wanted them to do that every evening, just to look back. Where was God acting in my life? Such a practice encourages us to become more aware of the presence of the Holy Spirit at work through us. And that might encourage us to be more open to the presence of the Holy Spirit, more welcoming, allowing the Holy Spirit to mold and form us and to use us to renew the face of the earth. That's always the great promise of Pentecost. So may God bless you, and may God use us too, to renew the face of the earth. Kia ora.
Kia ora. You are invited to join a community of prayer each day as we reflect on the Gospel. Bishop Michael begins leading our daily reflection Monday the 1st of June. Catch him through the diocesan website.